the Cursed Baobab Tree, and the Lost Village. They told me never to step near the old baobab tree, but curiosity got the better of me. Now, I can't stop hearing the screams at night, screams of people who vanished decades ago. I grew up in a small village called Ogidi, deep in the heart of Nigeria. Life was simple, fetching water, farming, and listening to elders' tales under the moonlight. But there was always one story everyone avoided, one no one wanted to tell. It was about the baobab tree at the edge of the forest. The tree was enormous, with roots so wide they broke through the dry earth like a giant's fingers. But it wasn't the size that scared people, it was the whispers. People claimed if you stood close enough, you could hear the voices of those who went missing. When I was 10, my uncle disappeared. He had gone into the forest to hunt, but never came back. I remember my father and the other men searching for days. They found his hunting bag, his sandals, even his machete, but no sign of him. The search ended near the baobab tree. After that, no one spoke about him again. Years later, I returned to the village as a young man. Life in the city had made me skeptical of old stories, and I wanted answers. The baobab tree was just a tree, I told myself. The villagers, though, still avoided it. When I asked about it, they warned me, "Leave it alone, Jide. Some things are better left undisturbed." But I didn't listen. One dry season evening, I decided to go to the tree alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky red like fire. I told myself I was just exploring, but deep down, I was hoping to prove everyone wrong. The closer I got, the quieter the forest became. No birds, no insects, not even the wind. It was as if the world was holding its breath. When I reached the tree, it looked wrong. The bark was blackened in places, like it had been burned. The air around it felt colder, even though it was the hottest time of the year. And then, I heard it. Whispers, faint and low, like the wind, but there was no wind. "Help us! Help us!" I froze. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst. The voices grew louder, overlapping each other, begging, crying, pleading. I tried to move, but my legs felt like they were buried in the ground. Then I saw it. A face. No, several faces, faint and shifting, pressed against the bark of the tree as if trying to push through. Their eyes stared right at me, empty, hollow. "Why are you here?" a voice hissed. I stumbled back, tripping over the roots. My hands hit the ground and the dirt felt wet. When I looked down, it wasn't dirt. It was blood, dark and sticky, seeping from the base of the tree. I ran. I don't remember how I made it back to the village, but when I did, I was shaking. My clothes covered in dirt and blood. I tried to tell the elders what I saw, but they just nodded solemnly. "We warned you," one of them said. That night, the screaming started. It began as a low wail coming from the forest. Then it grew louder, filling the air, echoing through the village. Everyone locked their doors and windows, but the sound seeped in, relentless and chilling. I couldn't sleep. All I could do was sit in the corner of my room, clutching my knees, waiting for it to stop. By morning, it was silent again. But the village wasn't the same. 3 people were missing. 2 children and an old woman. Their huts were untouched, their belongings undisturbed. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The elders blamed me. They said my curiosity had awakened the curse. They told me about the village that once stood where the baobab tree now grows. Decades ago, it had been a thriving place, but greed and betrayal led to a massacre. The survivors cursed the land, and the baobab tree grew over their graves, trapping their souls. I didn't believe them, not entirely, but I couldn't shake the guilt. Days turned into weeks, and the disappearances continued. Every few nights, the screams would return, and someone else would vanish. By the time the rains came, half the village was gone. I left Ogidi shortly after. I couldn't take it anymore. The fear, the blame, the guilt. But even now, miles away in the city, I still hear the whispers when I close my eyes. They say the baobab tree is still there, growing taller, its roots spreading wider, feeding on the lost. And sometimes, late at night, I dream of faces pressed against the bark, staring, waiting.